Hello everyone, Koji again from Celestial Rhythms, and happy Aries new moon. Well, this is a big one, the first in the year, and it's a super moon in the natural year, I should say, in the Mayan year, which started on the 21st too, at 4 degrees 12 in Aries, as you see here. And this is a very powerful moon, supermoon, and it's squaring the nodal axis, and that's also where the last solar eclipse was in December 26 at 4 degrees 09. So exactly squaring that, and there's some other really powerful connections to this solar eclipse chart, which is kind of the base of what we are experiencing this first half of 2020. So what we see here is probably the most powerful new moon of the whole year. And that's a big statement, I know that. Why I say that? It's because of that big stellium of planets in the 8th house here in Washington, with Saturn being the final planet already in the sign of Aquarius now. So the Saturn is the planet of lowest degree, which gives it an enormous power. It's the initial force of everything which occurs. And Saturn is still in 8, the house of transformation, of the chrysalis phase, of really transforming from inside out. The 8th house is Scorpionic house. It's Pluto's realm, and Pluto is part of that group, very closely aligned with Jupiter, which in itself is a very growth and expansion oriented energy, something which wants to really, it's kind of ready to boost, but it's not quite ready yet. There's still some constrictions, as we are aware of, for the next, I would say, well, obvious, April 12th is the day President Trump just announced today, and I would agree with that. Astrology pretty much says the same thing. The next new moon is on the 8th of April, and till then we're still under the spell of that really kind of polarizing new moon, which also was a super moon. There are 3 super moons this year, actually. This one is, if you want to say, the super moon, because I tell you why. Because of that guy here, that black moon, which is actually this little line. The third of these small lines is the black moon, the middle one is Chiron, and the first line is sun and moon in the same spot. So you see how close these are together, and the black moon is the spot where the moon is farthest away from our planet. So that's within 12 hours or so. The sun will be exactly at, actually a little more, it's two days away. Within 1 day there will be the exact conjunction with Chiron, the wounded healer, which will set another initial moment of that healing process we really already are in the midst of, and it will give a new recalibration of that process. And then on the 26th is really the high point of this energy, and when the sun will catch up with the dark moon, when the sun will be in the exact spot where the moon is farthest away. This is really embracing the shadow in its totality. That happens every, as I say, once a year, a bit more than that, every 13 to 14 months, because the black moon moves within 1 year 40 degrees. So within 1 year it's now here at 6 degrees Aries, so within 1 year from today we'll be at 16 degrees Taurus. So that gives you an idea. That's an eighth of a year, more or less. So every 14 months this happens. So that gives you a rough idea. So it's only so special this year because it's also Chiron which is in this place, and even more so because it squares the lunar nodes. Now the nodes is where the moon on its travel around Earth cuts through the Sun-Earth plane, kind of downwards in the setting node and upwards in the rising node. So when the moon travels around the zodiac, here it goes below the horizon in that sense, the equator I should say, and here it comes above the equator again. These 2 points are very powerful. That's where eclipses happen, and the last eclipse we had in December on the 26th was at 4 degrees Capricorn, as I mentioned at the beginning of this little broadcast, exactly squaring Sun and Moon of this day today. So because of that kind of concentration of force, this new moon becomes the outlet of the intention which was set in December. And that was just 5 days before the new year began. So it was in that interesting space of the last days of the year. The Chinese have a very particular way, the ancient Chinese, the Chinese sages, they say the last 5 days of the year, because we have this kind of riddle between 360 degrees in a circle and 365 days in a year. So it's those last 5 days which are kind of superfluous or extra, and these are the days of celebration. That's how the Chinese sages put it, which is pretty much what we do, I guess, as a society. It is a nice time. Most people have time off and enjoy, which is kind of similar to what we are having now by prescription. Anyway, so just saying, short before the new year which set the pace for a whole new adventure. And this brings me to Arrokoth. Exactly 1 year prior, on the January the 1st, 2019, was when the space probe, what's it called again? Horizons? New Horizons. That was space probe which was launched in 2006 and which was traveling for 9 years till it finally in I could be wrong on that, but I guess it was 2015 when it finally reached Pluto after 9 years of travel. And yes, that's correct, the timeline I'm telling you here, because 2014, just 1 year prior to that, this body Arrokoth was discovered, which was exactly at the kind of, if you extend the trajectory of that space probe, New Horizons, which pretty much had finished its job after having visited Pluto and Chiron, its moon, which brought back spectacular pictures, by the way. So then at this moment, about a year prior, Arrokoth was found, which was exactly at the extension of that line, so offered itself to be closely inspected, which happened on January 1st, 2019, being the first space object to be closely inspected that far away from Earth. That is roughly about 60 times farther away than Earth is from the Sun. Just gives you a little perspective. Saturn, the last big planet, is about 20 times farther away, so it's 3 times further out than Saturn, very deep space. So Arrokoth is that little body, and it has a funny shape, and there were just articles in the science magazines just a bit more than a month ago, after finally going through all these data, and these articles say that the whole history of our solar system has to be rewritten because of what they found on Arrokoth, on that little celestial orbiter far out there. Through all their theories toppled them, and sends all the scientists back to the drawing board. I think that's pretty big, and it was flying by Earth on January 1st, 2019. So this guy has actually then been named very soon after, only 11 months after it was first discovered, because originally first, when astronomers find a body, they give it a designation, which is letters and numbers, something like CU26 or whatever. I don't exactly remember what this designation was for Arrokoth, but only 11 months after that close flyby, astronomers, and that's quite exceptional that they do that so fast. Usually it can take up to 10 years for a body to be finally named. So it was named on November 1st, Arrokoth, after a native Indian tribe in the Virginia region of the United States. I will post the links so you can read that. And the meaning of that word in that native language, Arrokoth, means someone who stands under the open sky, someone who sees the whole panorama. It's really standing under the firmament of entire existence. And so in many ways this already is a beautiful name, and names always have strong resonance with the meaning of planets. This is a mystery by itself, like how Neptune was named and Pluto were named. I mean, it's just, there's some magic going on there, that the person who is meant to name the body, to suggest the name, has been almost given that information from some higher source. It's all really amazingly synchronized, as everything is in the universe, as you probably know. Or as astrology definitely is able to reflect, and that's where the power of astrology really comes in. It confirms what we see and also allows us then to extrapolate and see what is coming. So anyway, this is a very powerful time we are in. We can expect big shifts in the next few days as the wave is still building. As I say, the 26th is really the moment when the surf hits the shore, when it really starts delivering what has been piled up and built up. So anyway, I want just to add in one more thing. So the 1st of January 2019 started off with that Arrokoth energy, bringing that force into collective consciousness. And certainly, if you have a look back, 2019 was an exceptional year in many ways. I mean, so it is so big what happened in 2019. We are way too close to the picture, to the mirror, and we are so absorbed by the even more vamped up energies we are now dealing in this year 2020, which is really the year of transition. So in my next episode, I will speak about Arrokoth some more, because the first big thing in 2020 was the Saturn-Pluto conjunction on the 12th of January, but more on this coming soon. Arrokoth is very powerfully positioned there in that chart, and that will give you an overview over the bigger picture, which I will cover in my next one. Thank you so much for joining in and listening. Again, this is Koji from Celestial Rhythms. Thank you.